Palace says she's suffering just mild cold-like symptoms. The 95-year-old head of state is being cared for and monitored by her royal physicians. She expects to carry out light duties this week. Boris Johnson says scrapping the requirement to self-isolate in England will return the country to normality and give people back their freedom. The Prime Minister will meet with his cabinet in the morning before updating MPs on his Living with COVID blueprint. Reports suggest the isolation rule will be lifted by Thursday. The government's also expected to bring in a timetable for scaling back the availability of free COVID tests. The coming week will be crucial for democracy. That's from the Prime Minister after he spoke to French President Emmanuel Macron about the situation in Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin has agreed to trilateral talks with Ukraine after also speaking with Mr. Macron. But there's growing concern over increased shelling in the region, and Russia is extending military drills in Belarus. In the last hour, there are reports of an explosion in the centre of rebel-held Donetsk in eastern Ukraine. An amber weather warning has been issued for Northern Ireland ahead of Storm Franklin. It comes just 2 days after Storm Eunice caused what providers say was the biggest national power outage on record. Around 155,000 people are still without electricity. Yellow weather warnings are also in place for Wales and most of England, with winds of up to 70 miles per hour expected. Researchers have found the body of a missing passenger on a burning ferry in Greece. The discovery came just hours after a survivor was located on the stern of the vessel as it was being towed towards Corfu. The fire on the Italian-flagged Euro ferry Olympic, which was sailing from Greece to Italy, started in the early hours of Friday morning. 10 people are still unaccounted for. Canadian police say they've cleared the capital of demonstrators against a vaccine mandate. Officers have been using pepper spray and stun grenades to push back lorry drivers protesting in Ottawa. 170 people have been arrested after 3 weeks of blockades. Tributes are being paid to music entrepreneur Jamal Edwards, who has died at the age of 31. The mogul founded online platform SBTV, which helped launch the careers of Ed Sheeran and Jessie J. Mr. Edwards was awarded an MBE in 2014 for his services to music. TV, online and DAB+ radio, this is GB News. Now it's back to headliners.
I'm Mark Dolan and you are watching Headliners, taking a deep dive into tonight's papers, of course, from tomorrow's front pages are Josh Howie and Dave Fulton. That's right, the creme de la creme of British comedy. Josh and Dave, welcome to the show. Before we chat, let's have a look at tomorrow's headlines. And let's start with the Mail. Queen's COVID example to us all. She tests positive at age 95, but carries on working as Boris is set to unveil his blueprint for living with the virus. The Daily Telegraph next. And once again, the Queen adorns the front page of the Telegraph. Queen vows to carry on working with COVID. You'd have to take the view, wouldn't you, that if our 95-year-old monarch thinks that we've got to get back to normal, even though she's got COVID, surely that's a message for the rest of us. Free tests to be kept for over 80s as plans are made to learn to live with the virus, which seems to be the abiding theme from tomorrow's front pages. PM scrapping COVID rules is a moment of pride. And gold for the UK on the last day of the Games. The women's curling team became Olympic champions in Beijing yesterday. It's been a great Olympics. I'd never even said the word curling before this year. The Guardian, last-ditch talks as fears of Ukraine war intensify. And Queen has COVID, but symptoms mild, according to the Palace. How about the I newspaper? Queen's still at work with COVID. And Europe facing its biggest conflict since World War II. That's a direct quote from the Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Of course, he's a former Foreign Secretary, and he certainly knows his history. The Daily Express now. Putin gives troops orders to invade. And Queen catches COVID in castle outbreak. Last but not least, the Daily Star. New weather warnings. Not now, Franklin, Gladys, Herman and Imani. 4 more storms to batter Britain. There you go. A bit of blustery news from our friends at the Star. So, Josh Howie, the Queen has COVID, but nothing to see here. Business as usual.
Yeah, I mean, she's still on light duties, which, why not just put her on no duties? Or is being the Queen, is that a duty? I mean, that seems to be it. But, I mean...
Wearing the crown, all those weird clothes.
Just being the Queen as being the duty. But also, it could be light duties might mean, like, signing a sort of cheque for £14 million to settlement, maybe.
I mean, by the way, that would give me COVID, having to part with that much cash.
Yeah, it's like, I can't sign. Let me wait till the COVID's. No, I can't sign it yet.
No, I mean, look, it's actually inspiring, isn't it, that a 95-year-old woman who's vaccinated can get COVID and say, look, I'm still able to send messages to Olympians who are winning gold. I'm not on my deathbed, hopefully.
Yeah.
And maybe that can give us all succour that we might be through the worst of this.
Absolutely, but I'm not sure she necessarily tweeted directly. I can't imagine her on her iPhone just, oh, well done, everybody. I'm sure maybe she sort of, told us someone else to do it.
I happen to know she's got a Samsung.
Oh, really?
She's endlessly tweeting. Oh. She's a TikTok addict.
Does she follow you?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's verified. I think it's the Queen. Definitely someone in a crown. Her tweets are a bit abusive, but you can't have everything. What do you think about this? I mean, look, it's funny, isn't it? It shouldn't be a story, really. She's got a mild virus. She's going to be okay.
Well, I mean, obviously, she hasn't had taste in years. But I don't understand...
You're not saying those outfits are garish, are you?
I have no room to talk, obviously. I know I'm dressed like somebody's logger dad. No, the other side of that is...
logger granddad, come on, mate.
Says the guy who looks like a Jewish coke dealer.
What do you mean, looks like?
Yeah, mate. Don't give it away.
How do you think he got into showbiz?
Pablo Escobar-Stein.
You don't think he makes his money from TV and comedy, do you?
No.
Glad we cleared that one up.
He had 7 children. Now he's got 5. He sold 2.
Right.
No, light duties. I don't understand. I mean, has the Queen ever done any heavy lifting at all? I mean...
What are you talking? Have you not seen The Crown? She has,
which is a documentary about the royal family, of course.
Everything I know is from The Crown.
Oh, no, now, Dave, I'll have to step in here. I mean, the Queen is... her commitment to public service is unparalleled.
Without a doubt.
She became Queen when she was 25. She puts in regularly 12, 14-hour days.
Of what?
Shaking people's hands, opening hospital
wings.
Which is
why she's got COVID, because she's shaking hands.
Yeah, it's probably true.
She's not singing happy birthday to me.
No, she's got the immune system of an ox. She's met that many people with COVID. But the bottom line is that, not for the first time, she is something of a role model. And she's now saying, come on, folks, get back to normal.
Well, fair enough.
I don't know if it's that she's saying it, but it's interesting that the newspapers are kind of also
Maybe we're interpreting that.
Yeah, but that is a good sign. As you say, we're moving in the right direction. Yeah. And, I mean, can you imagine if this had happened? First of all, thank God the vaccines are out. She's been triple jabbed. She is protected. She's 95 years old. But, of course, this happened a year ago or more, it would be a different thing. But now there's a lot of treatments, and it is good news.
Yeah.
But not good news.
Maybe she'll appear on the Joe Rogan podcast. Talk about ivermectin.
I wish she would have gotten it before Trump and then just rolled by it like, oh, get over it, it'll be fine. And then Trump gets it. So he's got to kind of like, I'm fine too, and not be helicoptered off to an emergency hospital and have all kinds of steroids put in him, all kind of stuff. Just kind of like, suck it up, you big baby, that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so who's next in the royal is going to get it? I mean, Andrew obviously should have gotten it with all his contact with the kids. But but I don't know who else would be in line in the royal family to grab.
Are you saying that Prince Andrew has a carnivorous private life?
Well, not now. He sold his chalet in Switzerland
and also,
to pay for his legal expenses.
You can't get COVID if you don't sweat.
Yeah, that's a good point, by the way. That's been confirmed by Dr. Fauci. Well, we, of course, wish Her Majesty a speedy recovery.
Very much so. Very much. I'm a fan.
Someone we're not such a fan of is Vladimir Putin. Is he going to invade? It's a kind of question of if rather than when, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, He's crazy. I'm sorry. You know, I mean, it's just, he looks like a ferret. He looks like a small ferret. And Vlad, come over to my house, we'll drink vodka and work it out. But, you know, I don't know if he's going to invade. I mean, he wants more seaside views, and Ukraine is blocking that. And you know, it's his buffer between us and them, and he wants to be a little bit closer or something. And
So this is a bit like the neighbour that wants more space for his driveway.
yeah, they're disputing over where that fence should go. You know, you can put an extension on? No, I don't think so, because there's some separatists in your garage that we have to free. I mean, he's making up all kinds of weird lies.
But what I can't work out, Dave Fulton, is whether he's caused this by essentially, you know, putting troops on the border to Ukraine, or whether we've caused it in the West by being so soft on Putin.
Yeah, interesting point. But I think if you got a neighbor you don't like and he starts building a fence higher above your house, you can't necessarily blame it on like, well, maybe I should have been mean to him when he first moved in, right? Maybe I should have gone over and just punched him in the face. You know, he's provoking us. He's definitely, it's this game of chicken. We're staring each other down at this point.
And,
you know, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know very many Russians over here who don't work in the sex trade. So
in the sex trade?
I don't know who. Sorry, that's a bad reveal. So I don't know.
I just feel quite left out, that's all.
You always feel
I didn't
left
get the
out,
text.
which is a good place to be, by the way. You don't want to be in.
I'm not in your WhatsApp group.
No, you do not want to be in my WhatsApp group.
But hey, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
The issue here is, isn't it, Josh, that although it's a sort of an issue in Eastern Europe and Russia, it affects us, because if Putin invades, you know, that will embolden other rogue states to test the West's patience.
Absolutely, because the West has not stepped up over the last few years. After things like pulling out of Afghanistan, they don't want to commit their troops and their lives to some of these issues. But this is really serious, and it's getting a bit scarier. Like even a week ago, they were sort of saying that it was looking good. Like it was like, oh, these are just exercises and they're going to end soon, and then the troops are going to be pulled back, and maybe he'd made his point. But now what's happened in this particular story in The Guardian is that some of these tanks have been sort of marked with Z, and they're worried about whether that means that that's to stop like friendly fire, or if it's something. What I would say is Ukrainians maybe should start marking their tanks with Z. That could be my
Now
little...
you're talking.
I'm available, Ukraine.
You should be in military fatigues.
I think so. I play a lot of board games.
You should be in the map room.
I play a lot of Risk.
Yeah, you do, don't you? You take a lot as well. Let's move on, because this is another big story. We've got a lot of juicy ones to get through this hour, but this is in The Guardian. A leak from Credit Suisse, one of the world's largest banks, has revealed some troubling news about their clients, Josh.
Well, this is a huge story. I mean, this is the printer out. It took me about half an hour to read the first couple of pages. But yeah, this is a big deal. Look, we know that Credit Suisse is a little bit dodgy. That's kind of been established. They paid $4.2 billion in fines. So... But finally, someone has done there's been a massive leak from whistleblowers, basically revealed all of their documents to a bunch of newspapers, including The Guardian. So this is a huge story, and there are people here, dubious clients. They're talking about, there's a Lebanese pop star, a billionaire who ordered the murder of this Lebanese pop star. There's a Hong Kong stock exchange boss who's jailed for bribery. So there's a lot of the people that are now finally been revealed, because the whole thing about Switzerland is that they can conceal who actually owns these accounts.
Yeah.
So this is a massive reveal. It's 30,000 accounts that have now been made public. There's like 100 billion Swiss francs, which is about 80 billion pounds. And yeah, it just shows that a lot of these people in these secret accounts are, surprise, surprise, incredibly dodgy actual criminals.
And we've had the same debate, haven't we, since the Ukrainian tensions about Russian money in London.
Absolutely.
You know, money laundering, dirty money.
But this is dirty money. The whole of it seems like the whole of Switzerland is. This is an old system. They actually established it in like the 1700s, and that it was so people in Europe had somewhere to put their money safely and secretly, and then it extended. And it's part of their laws, like in Switzerland in the 1930s, I think they made it that's like one of the tenements of being in Switzerland.
So effectively in their constitution, really.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's in their DNA. I mean, if it's been going on since the 18th century, it's just part of their DNA. When you think Switzerland banks, you don't think charitable organizations, you don't think, you know, these are the people that are going to be funding the people who are fighting against the deforestation of rainforests. No. Every movie, everything we've ever read is always about, I'm going to make $1 million. Where are you going to put it? Switzerland. You know, that kind of thing. So it should be no surprise that stuff is showing up.
You do take a lot of trips to Geneva, don't you?
Yeah, on the way to Chamonix. On the way to Chamonix.
Glad to hear it.
By way of the bank. But you know, I was reading, the Credit Suisse has more than 1.3 trillion pounds in assets.
Remarkable.
I mean, that's enough to buy the Ukraine from the Russians if they had to. I mean, if you want some dodgy dealings in that respect. But yeah, it's just, you know, I think is that what's amazing to me is like, is this story just broke? Are you just figuring this out? I mean, guys like Josh knew that they've been hiding money for years. You know, they probably got a big warehouse that still has gold bullion with a swastika stamped on it and just waiting for that guy to come back and claim it. So, yeah, but on the other side of that is, do we open up banking? Do we have to make everything, you know, reveal everything, everything transparent? You know, did you do that? No, you know, because then people will know that I don't actually have, you know, thousands in my bank, that I just have a couple hundred.
Yes, and the Swiss won't change how they do things because it's also a big money spinner for them.
Yeah, well, you know, you got to remember, you got three types of Swiss. You got German-speaking Swiss, you got the French-speaking Swiss, and you got the Italian-speaking Swiss.
Is it okay to hate all of them?
No, you have to hate the German ones.
Okay, well, a decent rule of thumb. I do hope the German Mrs. Dolan isn't watching. Moving swiftly on. Monday's Eye Now. More trouble from Storm Eunice. GBNews' very own meteorologist Dave Fulton is here to explain.
Well, they're...
You're dressed for the weather, by the way.
Yeah, well, I try to. I'm a big fan of cold weather because I'm into outdoor stuff. And
you can take the snow boots off if you want.
No, I know they're not snow boots. They're ice climbing boots because I climb frozen waterfalls. And somebody said, why do you climb frozen waterfalls? I go, because it's a real bitch when they're running. So the...
and you do actually climb
Yeah, I actually do that. Actually climb frozen waterfalls.
As if live comedy wasn't hard enough, let's climb ice.
Well, it's the best. And but what I think is amazing here is this storm has brought in records of 122 miles an hour off the Isle of Wight. 122 miles an hour for storms and blowing everything down. Even your old Victorian houses are going, nah, I haven't seen anything like this. And they're just blowing apart. Bricks are flying through the air, taking out small children and dogs. And you know, once again, is this because of global warming? Is this going to be a regular occurrence? I don't know. What happened is the jet stream decided to, you know, take a detour and come right over this cold, wet island in the North Atlantic. And whether or not, you know, it will happen again, probably. I mean, tonight, everybody in Northern Ireland is on the lookout because the storm is hitting there. Franklin is hitting there, which is a very English name, so they have more things to hate you for.
It's true, by the way. It's a bit imperialist, isn't it?
Yeah, very. You know, it couldn't have been like Connor, you know, or something like that.
They should have definitely made it location specific.
They should.
Storm Patrick.
Yeah. They should have. But it is amazing to watch. And when you see the floodings and things like that, I mean, my heart goes out to that because you guys aren't really set up for like natural disasters. And you're not really set up like you see in some of the third world countries who are kind of like, okay, we washed out a small village, but we'll live. And you guys have small villages, but they're cute. They're not really set up for high winds and floods. And so people get put out. And what's really sad is the government goes, oh my God, we lost a village and they have no power. And these old ladies are going, I have no power. And the government here is going, yeah. Anyway.
Well, the power's too expensive anyway at the moment.
The power's going to be,
it's a good thing.
The reconnection is going to be 50% more.
Just to make the people aware, in Suffolk, there was a zoo that is doing a fundraising appeal because it suffered serious damage to its lion enclosure on Friday. So it's got six lions are going to be sheltered at the moment in internal housing. I suppose that's very stressful. By the way, there are 8 lions. 2 are missing. No.
I see what you've done there.
See, well, that's the thing. First you give social housing to immigrants, and now lions. Where's it going to stop? That's what I'm... And but one more thing I got to say. I read this. I love this. They have route-proving trains have been running at slow speeds. Route-proving trains? I've never heard of something like that.
That's bizarre.
First off, you know, at what point, which way, where's the route? Follow the train tracks. That would be the proof.
Also, how slow can they go?
Yeah, can they go any slower? Yeah, exactly.
Pretty tough stuff. Josh, did you get blown this weekend?
Sorry. Easy joke.
Listen, we don't have the dark, murky imagination of Dave
we can't go to those places.
I'm asking you about the weather conditions over the weekend.
Of course you are. And it was a pretty.
Didn't you take your kids out to test the weather?
I'm still a little bit traumatized. But
You
I didn't do it.
tested
I just
your
thought.
kids with weather.
I thought. No, let's get out. It's half term. We were stuck at home the whole week.
Yeah.
And we were like, Friday, let's go into town. We had that plan.
Responsible parenting.
And it was literally just trees blown, massive tree just at the end of our road, and we were still like, we'd got dressed. And you know what it's like trying to get a bunch of kids out of the house at the same time?
Definitely.
So we're like, once all they had all that, and we got outside, but it was like, I'm not going back in. We've just spent like an hour putting on these jackets and shoes and stuff. We are risking it. But
I could just see you go, all right, kids, I know it's a little, get your kites out. No, get the kites. I spent money on the kites. We're flying kites today. And so that's why Josh has 4 kids, not 5.
Yeah.
Josh, you're obsessed with the weather. You're also pretty obsessed with curling, aren't you? It's your sport.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that's just sort of throwing stones and I didn't watch it this year. I have watched it in the past.
By the way, I'm not sure it's a stone anymore.
Is it a stone? I thought that's what it was.
Is it not
It
like
is a stone. And
It is a
don't
stone.
be
Is
it
bad
not like a
mouthing
puck?
curling.
Yeah.
Don't be
No,
mad.
it's like a big. No, there's a stone. It's a full. Anyway.
But they call it a stone.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they call it stone.
I think it needs a rebrand.
No, it has to be made from a special granite. It's not just, you can't just make it. It has to be made from a special granite. The guys who do it know what they're doing. They're spun on a lathe, so they're perfectly round and the right size and the right
knows-
weight.
yeah, he knows.
You know,
He knows
I
his
mean,
curling.
I've done curling. Curling is a blast, man. I mean, I've done ice climbing, but man, I've done curling and it is fun.
What happens, for those that haven't watched it, what occurs?
Well, what do you first off, you have this big, long track or pitch or whatever. I can't remember the name of it, sorry. And then...
Ice rink.
Field?
Ice rink.
Yeah, and so you sit there and you push against your shoes. You put these little things in the shoes so you can slide on the ice. And you have one that slides and one that doesn't. And then you put your foot against a backstop and you have the stone, it's got a handle on it, and you push yourself out and use your hand to kind of guide it, or the broom, and you kind of see where you got to be. And as you let go, you give it a little bit of a turn, and your buddies are down there, and you wait to sweep it, to brush it. And what you're essentially doing is speeding up that stone, and you a little bit more on the other side to get it to turn a little bit, and you can actually arc it around the other stones and knock the other ones out of place.
It's bowls. It's bowls.
It's shuffleboard.
I've got a new Olympic sport, which is Dave Fulton explaining curling. That was better than watching curling. You came alive. I actually, the team wanted to put that to music.
Well, people ask me, they go, "You're really into curling?" I'm like, "Yeah." They go, "Well, it doesn't have any guns." I'm like, "What? No, it's not. Doesn't."
Can't you shoot the stone to make it go a little bit further? That could be an extra, like adding those two elements
Yeah,
together.
well, maybe if you fired the stone out of a cannon, it would be more exciting because
Yeah.
trying to get the brushes down.
Getting back to the
as quick as
story.
possible.
What is the story?
We won gold.
You won gold in
Women's
curling.
team won gold, which
Yeah.
is great. Congratulations to them. The Guardian here said 4 rock stars. Little joke there, Guardian. Well
Nicely
done.
done.
Did that? They beat Japan 10-3. It was at I think 4 in the morning or something. People were up watching it, and good for them. It's great. That was our only gold that we won. And I think they wanted to win 3 medals or something. I think they also got silver for the men's team.
Yeah.
Losers. So they put a bit of money into it. But the victory was hailed by Rona Howie.
Family, friends?
I don't
Relative?
know, a relative, who's Stone of Destiny. She got the gold in the 2002.
All these Howies are winners, aren't they?
Obviously. Yes.
Yeah.
So nice to see you, Rona. Congratulations.
You should have turned up. You should have, I'm a Howie too. Can I come to the after party?
Oh, yeah. They're celebrating and great for them. I mean, there is a slight thing to the fact that it's been taking place in Beijing and there's like controversy with human rights and the Uyghurs and their allyship with Russia just before the opening ceremony. So I've kind of given it a little bit of a wide berth, but also I just haven't been up at 2 a.m.
Those two factors. I wonder which one is the more persuasive element of that issue. Lots to come. I'm telling you, we've got some great stories, including the financial crook Bernie Madoff's sister is in the news, RAF pilots' sex lives, and breakfast at Tiffany's, quite literally. See you in 2.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate.
From all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
Make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel.
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
That you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Great to have your company. It's Headliners. I'm Mark Dolan, and with me, two top comedians navigating their way through tomorrow's papers. And this evening we have board game aficionado Josh Howie and a man who climbs ice fountains.
No, ice waterfalls. Frozen waterfalls. Frozen waterfalls.
That's so wimpy. Mate, you've got to try out some board games. That is where the real danger lies.
Maybe you should climb ice sculptures.
Ooh.
Be quite nice. That would be slippery, though, wouldn't it?
Oh.
It's got the shoes.
I'm down with that. Yeah.
Well, you're a brave man either way. Let's crack on with our stories. Let's go to the Mail, and it's time for, or not, for the first time, as it's been long trailed, Freedom Day.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm ready to be free.
I always love that. It's Freedom Day, and you just kind of go, yeah. Wait a minute. What were you doing before? Were we not free before? What did I lose? You know? Yeah, well, you don't have to do this, no more restrictions, this, another. You know, and he wants to call it Living with COVID plan, which immediately harkens back to Beetlejuice, where they said, you know, living with the dead, and, you know, the manual they gave you. I just have this envision of this, like, suburban family looking off in the distance and the big COVID vaccine, or, you know, the virus is off there hovering over the horizon. Yeah, it's just I'm going to miss the whole you know, the free COVID, you know, the free tests they would pass out. What really bothers me, because I've been traveling lately. I was in America. I went to Helsinki last night and came back this morning. Is you know
a humble brag?
Yeah, that's classic humble brag.
Josh is feeling rather humble because, not humble, rather depressed actually. You were in Crouch End.
I was in actually last night. I was doing Up the Creek in Greenwich.
Oh, you made it. You made it to southwest London, southeast London, southeast.
But what I hate the fact is, you know, okay, I've got all the jabs, I got the boosters and stuff, but I still got to pay for that lateral flow test. I still got to shell out 29 quid. Yeah. And it's almost like, then when they switched to the PCR test in December, it was almost like Boris's buddies who have cornered the market on this whole testing thing, where you have to send off the labs and stuff, kind of went, hey, Christmas is coming up. Boris, I could use a little money for the family. Okay, now we have to do the PCR test because it's 3 times more than the lateral flow. And you know, even if you tested positive, you're not going to get on the plane. I mean, I don't know. Just come on, just.
It feels like a racket, doesn't it?
It is a racket. It is a racket. It's a way to make, and they have made millions and millions of pounds. Yeah. Guys who would never have gotten involved with this before are they're carpetbaggers. They're the guys selling shovels to the guys trying to be miners in Alaska. You know, they're not making. They're the ones making the money off the back of this.
Those restrictions are still in play, even though they've dropped a lot of other stuff. The stuff about UK citizens travelling abroad, a lot of that stuff is still there.
It's still there, you know, so it's like Freedom Day, as long as you don't leave this area.
Well, you've got a beautiful wife and 5 children. If you chose to travel to France, Austria, Germany, Italy, it would cost you, I mean, the testing alone, you're looking at, what, 300-400 quid?
The thing is, I haven't really minded about this for the last couple of years because I've been so skint. But since being on GB News, I can finally afford a holiday.
What?
So now I'm like, you better sort this out. Travel, UK. Now I'm getting radical.
Yeah, your pithy late night commentary is taking you all the way to where are you off to?
Disney.
Are you going to Geneva to check your bank account?
Oh yeah, that's the dream. Yeah, via Euro Disney. That's where we're going. I'm very excited.
By the way, what's scarier, the Swiss bank accounts or Disney?
Yeah, God, which one is going to be harder to get into, and which the queues are going to be longer as people now trying to take their money out.
Exactly right.
I'm a little bit worried though. The whole sort of the Freedom Day thing. If this is coming to an end, which is obviously amazing news, and 85% of the country is vaccinated, and but I'm a bit worried about what that means for some people, because there are people who have been very pro what's happened the last couple of years, and they're sort of trying to cling on and go, hey, don't do it too quickly. But then there are some commentators, some people cutting up masks on air.
Those people are reprehensible. I mean, they shouldn't be in broadcasting.
What's going to be their next big thing?
What can they be angry about?
Yeah, they lose COVID to get to be.
I'm going to bring a team of 10 people in to write my monologues, because there's nothing to say now that COVID's over.
You're just going to be like, everything's good, all good.
Correct. I'll be like, a sheep got lost in Wales today. She's called Snowy. She's got black hooves. If you see her, please contact Farmer Giles.
It doesn't matter. They can just clone it.
Not a bad shout.
What really bothers me is it says here, powers to order national lockdowns will also end, with sources saying it would instead be up to local authorities to manage outbreaks.
Oy.
So, you could be in Oxford, and the guys would be fine, but, you got to get tested if you want to go to Rumford. One of those things. We should be tested.
I mean, look, I'm pretty hardcore about. I think that.
So if you're leaving it up to people within a local, establishment, constabulary, to kind of go, well, maybe we should or shouldn't. Now you have to wear a mask. Now you don't. Now we need a test. Now, we're going to give this out. So I think as soon as, it's bad enough to have the government kind of dictate this, but when you get it down to a smaller microcosm, at that point you just kind of go, No, I'm just going to ignore you at this point.
Yeah. Well, that would be my abiding thought on that issue. Over to the Times now. We've got more of Trudeau's truculence over in Ottawa.
Oh, very good.
Thank you, Josh.
Good. So another freedom group here. Everyone's loving this word freedom. Everyone's using this word freedom. This protest that's been going on now for a couple of weeks has basically been brought to an end. Trudeau's brought in some pretty hardcore implemented some powers I think they last used in wartime or something. To break up this protest.
The Emergencies Act. They can freeze bank accounts of protesters.
Yeah. But
they can even potentially euthanize their pets.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because if they have to impound the animal after 8 days, potentially they've got the right to euthanize the animal. So basically, Trudeau's now shooting your dog if he doesn't agree with you.
Yeah, but they're Canadian, so they'll probably stuff it.
Good point. They might do the best with it.
But I didn't know that this protest has actually been taking place in sort of minus 20 degrees weather. So now I'm kind of like...
How did that man from Newcastle make it onto the... there he is, behind you. What a legend.
There's his stomach right by my head. Oh, hello.
That's a Geordie if ever I saw one.
That brings up a good point, is Canadians are going, quote, we have to get our freedom back. I'm like, look, you live in Canada... Weed is legal. You can club baby seals. How much more do you want?
They're living the dream, right?
Yeah, they're living the dream already. And now they're like, we have to get our freedom back. I'm like, well, what did we leave out? At that point.
It's true. The Canadian Tourist Board, they always lead with the seal clubbing as one of the main reasons to go there, don't they?
Could do some sort of...
That's how it came about, by the way. It came as a documentary about the resourcefulness of the people up north during the off-season for fishing. They would make money by clubbing baby seals for the fur trade. And they showed it as like, huh? Look how resourceful they are. And the whole world went, oh my God. That's how it came about.
I was just thinking maybe we could swap the Extinction Rebellion protesters, send them over to Canada, bring over those guys. Because those guys, they were having hot tubs. I don't think people would mind queuing up on the M25 if they had hot tubs and bouncy castles.
That's exactly right.
Partying and all that stuff.
They also had music and everything.
Yeah, and everything. Whereas the Extinction Rebellion people, they'd be in minus 20 degrees. Going, global warming's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's true. And they're all vegans, so they got no body fat, they got no insulation. They'd last about 5 minutes, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Too right. Fascinating stuff. We'll look onto the Mail now, and another disappointing twist in the heartwarming tale of Captain Tom Moore, Dave.
Yeah, it turns out, first off, Captain Tom Moore, amazing, a veteran of the big one, whipping around on a Zimmer frame, doing laps back and forth the NHS. raise more money than anybody could have expected. And of course, when that happens, when a charity gets involved, obviously people are going, right, we need an extension. And so his daughter was up for a salary of $150,000 before it was blocked by this watchdog outfit. And then she came to her defense. She was like, no, I turned it down. I didn't really want it. I think it was kind of bad. And I don't know if she had, a crisis of conscience and went, no, I can't do this because it's a big, or somebody went, are you really going to take this? No, I'm not. One of those.
I believe her husband has taken the role or something like that. Her husband's involved in the charity.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing is,
he did take some of the money.
We can't prove that there's any sort of wrongdoing or ill intent. It could be naivety, but the bottom line is it proves that these charities have to be run in a really proper way and they have to be accountable to, I guess, the authorities, really.
Yeah,
well, absolutely.
Well, they should.
It's a good thing that that's what watchdogs do, and that's good that they've sort of stepped in here. But I mean, even them offering £150,000 salary, that's what the people who run like Oxfam and other charities get. But they're like making 100 million a year sort of thing. This is 1 million, so 150,000 of a £1 million donation.
You care to offer your services? You sit on the board for 10 grand a month?
I'll sit on the board. Hell yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my God. I love it. You're already bargaining.
I'm thinking more. I'm going to go back to Euro Disney. I've got more Euro Disneys in me. Anything that gets me to Euro Disney.
And you know what? And good luck getting the money because it's in the Credit Suisse bank account.
I'm an obsessive fan of Elton John. He set up the Elton John AIDS Foundation, and he paid for. Well, exactly. Who knew? He set up and he actually bought the HQ for the charity and covers the admin, so that every pound you give to the EJAF is straight to AIDS. Like not like 90%, not 90%, 5%, 100%, which is important. The worst one was the Diana Fund.
Okay.
And this was a massive multi-million enterprise. And although they were very decent, proper people, they got into a legal battle with an American China company who were releasing plates with Diana's image on. And they sued this crockery company in America. And they lost millions. And it was all funded by the charity that people had generously donated for.
Sucks.
Yeah, it does indeed. But they were very nice plates. I bought a few. Next one is in the Telegraph, and it's a warning to aspiring RAF pilots who don't want their sex life to be disturbed, Josh.
Yeah, so I didn't. So someone an RAF pilot was basically had this like very heavy armor plating whilst he was piloting his helicopter, and it's because of the way it was adjusted or something, he had to sit in a very strange position for like 8 hours straight, and the plates cut into his legs and cut off some nerves. So since then, he's had problems like sitting, he's had problems with sexual relations with his wife, so he's suing the Ministry of Defence for £200,000, and maybe it sounds like he should get it.
It sounds like it to me because I mean,
it's a young man as
it's
well.
one thing.
I think he's about 30.
Really tragic story. If if what he has said has veracity, but if you go to war and the enemy, God forbid, blow your arm off or something, or you lose your life, I think people will say, well, that's the contract you enter when you become.
But also, I imagine that it would be protected. Surely the helicopter would be protected.
Well, the thing is, that's what it said. If the Taliban take you down, go figure, right? But if it's equipment which has caused you ill health,
and
surely.
But the thing is that with that is you get all this body armor and because we have it in the States as well. And they develop this, okay, this is the best thing that's going to protect you from, being strafed and shrapnel and everything else like this. You would think that people would develop going, all right, everybody take this home for the weekend and don't take it off and give me your thoughts on Monday.
Yeah.
It was almost because I was reading about it on another article. It's almost kind of like, okay, we need to protect this area of his body. Okay, we'll develop this. What about here? Okay, well, I have an idea. Okay, we'll put that down here. Okay, it's like all this stuff was put on as an afterthought. And then, so he straps it in because they go, okay, here's your body armor. Okay, great. And it was developed by committee. So he puts it on. So he's like the guinea pig. So he's wearing this stuff because that's his job. He's up there, wants to fly safe. And after a while, he's like, man, this thing I don't feel right in my legs. My toes are turning blue. And like, no, this is I hate this when the military comes up with something going, this is the best thing for you. And you think it's going to be, that's been tried and tested and it's, going to look out for my personal safety and it's like that. But it was all formed on a committee for a tremendous amount of money. And in the end, you're like, hey, you lived. And you're like, yeah, but I can't feel my legs. I can't get a hard on, you know? and you've ruined me. You're like, yeah, but you didn't, you know, yeah, you're still safe.
That didn't sound like the first time he'd ever said that.
No, I agree. It really tripped off the tongue, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, his sort of pupils dilated when he said it. There was actually a tear trickling down his face.
Yeah. All right. So
I
He got very passionate about this.
I've worn a bulletprooth vest.
That's your excuse.
And then, no, a friend of mine had one. I put it on, and he went, "Let me shoot you," and I took it off immediately because that's how we roll in America.
I think what we might do now is I might clip the bit where he said, "I can't get a hard on," and put it on TikTok and see what happens.
Oh God.
It'll go viral.
What is TikTok? I've never heard of that. I'm too old.
Well, I'll explain during the break to Dave Fulton what TikTok is. In the meantime, coming up, we've got some more amazing stories for you. Golden cocaine ducks, that takes some explaining. Ancient aliens and Lord of the Rings drama. See you in 2.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
I'm Mark Dolan and welcome back to Headliners, in which we're taking a romp through tomorrow's front pages. Joining me to do that are the creme de la creme of the British comedy world, including a man with more children than Genghis Khan, Josh Howie.
Consensual children.
Yeah, similar sartorial style as well. And a man whose offspring status I'm less familiar with, Dave Fulton.
My son's adopted, so I've kept my seed to myself.
I've given him one of mine. I'm a good guy like that. You know.
Your seed is exclusive. It's probably in a vial in a Swiss bank account somewhere.
No, it's scattered over many hotels of all the gigs I've done in the last 25 years.
And I think
what a lovely image.
I think we've entered the realms of too much information.
Big fan of Jackson Pollock. Anyway.
No wonder he can't get a hard on. Okay, now let's crack on with the rest of the show.
Come on,
In America, they call that a callback. Now, listen, let's do The Guardian, who are going with the disquiet arising from the new Amazon production of Lord of the Rings.
Oh my gosh. This is like every time you're going to change things when you adapt them, and that's fine. So the Lord of the Rings, the trailer came out, there are people of colour playing different roles, that's fine. But this Guardian article has got one of the most ridiculous sentences I've ever seen in The Guardian, and that's saying something. They said, they're talking about the tech giant they're talking about Amazon here, and this is like, they spent like $500 million on this particular series. I mean, it's huge, the most expensive TV series ever. And they said, but they've sort of referred here that some of the fans, some of whom are deeply enmeshed in the right-wing culture war industry. Like, i.e., anybody who complains about this stuff, this is their new thing, is now they are deeply enmeshed in the right-wing culture war industry. Just because you complain about something doesn't instantly make you racist or whatever. There are legitimate reasons to criticise certain things. I remember when Ghostbusters came out, the remake, with like, and all those women who were
the
involved.
all-female one, and it was a dog of a film. It was a turkey.
And people will go, oh, look at it, it's been criticised online, and that's all right-wing, misogynistic. Maybe there was an element of that, but it was rubbish. And I'm a big fan of all of those people involved, including the director. So, like, and then same with like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels when they did the remake. Again, just rubbish. So don't just blame every criticism as like being some culture war thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are legitimate reasons to expand it. I don't think Tolkien had this idea. It's a fantasy world. Why aren't there going to be people, black wizards and Chinese?
Well, this is like Jon Stewart the other day talking about Harry Potter being anti-Semitic. Now, you are a Jewish man, so you've got...
But he said it's not.
As a joke.
He said a joke, and then he went on like the next day and he went, by the way, people are saying that, I don't think it's anti-Semitic at all. So he was
because you were talking about the banker and the...
Yeah.
I didn't realise that was completely
no, it was amazing.
tongue-in-cheek.
No, he went on. No, he wasn't. He was just making a reference like some people saying it. And then he went on and said, of course it's not anti-Semitic like the film. It's just a total coincidence. And if it's anti-Semitic, it's based on anti-Semitic tropes within sort of fantasy literature. He wasn't calling that at all. And he wasn't saying Jake, and he took it all back and he said this is just a classic case of the media being disingenuous.
Yeah, taking it out of context. Yeah.
Three words for anyone worried about the new Lord of the Rings series: get a life. Let's head to The Independent now, and it's laser wars between China and Australia, Dave.
Well, first off, I have a cat. And, and I amuse it with a laser that was made in China. So why would you not be surprised that the Chinese would have a really big one and go, I wonder if that plane will do the same thing my cat does, and just chase it around the sky with a laser. And I think it's just more that kind of, you have your toys and I have my toys and they can kill each other, but... just playing with each other. If they're not busy, doing bootleg DVDs of the latest Spider-Man movie, this is another way for them to mess with it. And honestly, we do not want to get into a pissing contest with the Chinese. I mean, the Russians are one thing, but the Chinese have enough people; they can just take the guy next to him and beat you up with him. So. Yeah, I mean,
You've been watching some Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah, I love Jackie Chan.
I disagree with Dave. I think this is actually a very serious thing. And the only reason I'm saying that is because being on this show has forced me to actually broaden my horizons. I read this book, Prisoners of Geography. I just finished in the bath this morning the chapter on China. And what it says is because it's like essentially a landlocked mass, that they need their navy. Like, to become the next world power, if that is what they want to do, is all about now. They spend a huge amount of money developing their navy, getting it out there, but they have to be showing a willingness to use it. And this is exactly what they're doing now, is showing countries around those, because there's like the South China Sea, that's all up for grabs. In their mind, they're trying to sort of incorporate that into their territory. Other countries like Philippines and whatever, which have and countries that have bases with a lot of, where the Americans can use their aircraft carriers, are now sort of pushing against that. So it's really, that whole area is now in contention, and it is a blinking match, and we're going to see who blinks first. And in this case, when the laser's shining in your eyes, that's not going to help.
So we essentially want to keep the Chinese landlocked.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And the Chinese want to define, their own geography.
Absolutely, because they've got all those countries that kind of surround, like Japan as well. They've got narrow straits to get through. Japan needs materials to go into China to build this up, and then they need to get that stuff out of there. So they need to control those trading routes in order to keep their system going, to keep their population happy, because if they're not all making money and their standard of living is not going up, you've got, yes, billions of people who are going to get unhappy with the government.
But America, we got tons of ocean views, tons of beaches. We have a tremendous amount of raw materials. And we're still not happy.
Yeah, but you know what? I haven't got to the American chapter yet. So I'll
back in the bath.
Come back next week.
Yeah, it's good to know you take a bath. Yeah. That's news to me.
Which, by the way, with the rising fuel prices, that's going to be a thing of the past as well.
I don't know why you're pretending that you didn't know I took a bath.
Now, The Guardian and the woke charities moving swiftly on are striking back. What are they complaining about, Dave?
Sorry, I got the the woke thing. I love the fact that, right-wing media goes after, such and such is, they're doing it, they're going after charities, like with the, the civil liberties and using, being attacked by the, this is what I love. The National Trust was called Marxist. How can you call the National Trust Marxist? Well, they're trying to control our lands and this and that. No, they're looking out for your best things. And, they're highlighting this, they reported the slave trade links of some of its historical properties. And you go, so what do you want to tear it down? You want to preserve this stuff? So, and the backlash is people going, oh yeah, National Trust, I love that building. And it's starting getting more money. And I love the fact that, who is it, your old buddy Nigel Farage was calling the RNLI, which I think is an amazing organization working on donations, calling them the migrant taxi service. And no, they're just trying to save people who are out, trying not to drown. And so now as a result of this, the backlash is they're getting a tremendous amount of money being donated to help their causes, to keep things open, to preserve, the architectural heritage of your country, to get more boats to save people when they're on the high seas. And so it's the exact opposite. As opposed to getting mad at them, people are going, hey, you know what? Yeah, I think they are doing a good job. Yeah, I do like that. No, I don't want to jump on that on that. I don't believe what you're doing. I love that backlash. I love the fact that when they're pointing fingers going, oh, this is wrong, and people are like, no, it's right, and I'm going to give them money just to make you look like an idiot. I think it's fantastic.
Well, look, I agree with you with the National Lifeboat Charity, and that's great they gain money and they do an amazing job. But I do think this article in The Guardian is conflating two different things here and trying to make this like attack on woke charities, because some of the charities, like Stonewall and the Goodwill Project, I wouldn't say they're being attacked by right-wing politicians or whatever, but the fact is they are being examined a little bit closer as to what it is they're doing. You've got Stonewall in a sort of confrontation with the EHRC, and they've been pointed out that actually some of those charities have overstepped their mark and are being rightly so challenged by it. And it's not a right-wing thing. A lot of this is coming from left-wing people who believe that certain charities might have gone too far. And that's not a bad thing.
And, for example, the BBC have dispensed with the services of Stonewall, as an example.
Yeah. So I think I like how they happen to sort of miss out. They give those examples, which I agree with, but they also, The Guardian has just sort of skips those ones that don't prove their point.
Which, as a side note, by the way, I mean, obviously you guys have, as we do, have a huge history regarding the slave trade and the...
Not as big as America.
Bullshit.
That's gonna hurt.
But the flip side of that is if you go, okay, this house was built by such and such, this and that, he made a tremendous amount of money in trade and cotton, this and that, and slaves, and it should be put out in the front going, this is why this is here.
And that's good stuff.
And it's not like in America, because we had the Jim Crow days and we had the Daughters of Confederacy who were trying to rewrite, history, saying, no, the Civil War was not about slaves, it was about economics, which is total unadulterated BS. But so they're pulling down statues of Robert E. Lee. Now, Robert E. Lee was a horrible slave owner, but after the Civil War, he said, we have to rebuild the nation, and he started trying to work toward that. And, when they, during the Emancipation Proclamation, the 13th and the 14th Amendment. But we never hear that, It's in the center of these...
This is GB News. Stop giving us your bloody American history. Jeez Louise.
Well, it's all about opinions, of course.
At least we had a civil war over it. You guys just paid everybody off.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, you paid everybody off.
Although luckily...
But you finally paid off in 2015.
Ending slavery.
Yeah, in 2015, you paid off all the rich for their slaves like it was a property thing, going, yeah, sorry you don't have your help anymore.
Yeah, but posh aristocrats would never pay anyone off in this day.
And you finally paid it off in 2015. How long is it going to take for us to pay off Prince Andrew's debt?
Well, there you go. Now, briefly, what about this? Will we fall out over golden ducks crossing the border at Stansted Airport, Josh?
Yeah, so this is someone sent through like a package from Colombia. So I think if any time something comes from Colombia...
That'd be coffee beans?
Coffee beans, totally fine. But golden ducks are supposedly suspect, weirdly so. I don't know why you would choose a golden duck.
Yeah.
And they sort of... that might be slightly ostentatious.
Yeah, I love that.
That sounds like something that Pablo Escobar would... Oh yeah, he had a big golden duck collection. Like, I could believe that.
Yeah. No pink flamingos?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to look at a golden duck. Nah.
They drilled a hole in it, and surprise, full of cocaine. So they went to the address of the person, And the person's like, oh no, mate, I'm not into golden ducks or cocaine. No, that doesn't belong to me. But he did happen to have 5 mobile phones and a bunch of fake IDs. So they were like, that's a little bit of a
and some miniature golden ducks on the mantle, you know.
Yeah, so then finally he's admitted it.
Hey, listen, a couple of seconds, and it's the smitten pensioner who breaks a girlfriend out of a nursing home and goes on the run. Only a couple of seconds on this.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be made into a movie.
Yeah.
But also, it's incredibly sad because he's looking at prison time. They were together for 15 years. He's like 80 years old. She has dementia. Her family took her away, and he went to sort of basically get her back. And he's been arrested, and he looks like.
But he went 3,000 miles on a mobility scooter. That's what I'm thinking. You know.
Yeah, I didn't know they had such good battery life. Who knew? Well, look, it's been an electric hour with the brilliant Josh Howie and Dave Fulton. Gentlemen, thank you so much, and do return soon. I'm delighted to say that Headliners returns tomorrow, and it's here every week. 7 days a week, folks, 11 o'clock. Always tomorrow's papers, always done with a bit of a laugh as well. Hey, thanks for your company. It's been a really busy 3 hours. Dan Wootton's back at 9 on Monday. Of course, that's tomorrow. And I am back on Friday at 9 o'clock for another busy weekend of shows. It's been really fun this weekend. See you soon.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
My name's Tom Harwood, and every weekday we bring you The Briefing live from 9:30 a.m. The stories, analysis and live debate that you need to hear.
Quite right, Tom, of course.
Was this something that had been considered at all?
Difficult to answer.
Gas-guzzling helicopters circling. Noise is being made here. Joe Biden walking out. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, Monday to Friday, 9:30 a.m. on GB News.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB